Okay, Kanye West and Kim Kardashian, who built a bigger financial empire? So I was wondering who was richer, basically, Kanye West or Kim Kardashian. So I went ahead and looked it up, and it's actually pretty surprising. It's a long story from beginning to end, and it's more interesting because both of these folks were married, they built wealth together, and then finally they went their own separate ways. But when you look at how each of them built their wealth, it's kind of surprising. So the first question is, how much is Kim Kardashian and Kanye West worth as of right now? So according to public numbers, a lot of analysts say that Kim Kardashian is worth about $1.8 billion. So that makes her a genuine billionaire and one of the very few female billionaires in America. Now, when we look at Kanye West, his numbers are a lot more volatile, harder to pin down. However, at his peak when he had his deal with Adidas and the Yeezy sneakers, his net worth was pinned almost identical to Kim Kardashian, between $1.8 to $2 billion. However, in 2022, when Adidas decided to terminate that contract, Kanye West's net worth immediately plummeted to somewhere around $400 to $500 million, which is still a huge amount of money. So if we look at Kim Kardashian and Kanye West at the moment right now, Kim Kardashian is worth quite a bit more, coming in closer to $2 billion, and Kanye West below $500 million. But the more interesting story is how each of them got there. So first, let's talk about how Kim Kardashian became one of the few women billionaires in America. So the first thing that surprises a lot of people is oftentimes when you're thinking about Kim Kardashian, you think of a television personality or an Instagram personality, which she is. However, Kim Kardashian built her billionaire status off of two major companies. That's going to be SKIMS, which is the clothing brand, and then the other brand, SKKN. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I think it's skin. That's going to be a beauty line. So her SKIMS company, she built in 2019, and that company grew extremely fast. It's basically shapewear for women. And in 2023, it was valued at $4 billion. So just in 4 years. So that makes it one of the fastest growing consumer brands in America, in fact, in American history in whole. And with that company, Kim Kardashian owns a significant portion of that company. So aside from that company, she makes a lot of money from social media posts. It's reported that she charges up to $1 million just for one Instagram post. And then she had her company KKW Beauty, which later was transformed into SKKN or Skin. That company generates hundreds of millions of dollars each year. And supposedly she sold a 20% stake to a company called Coty for $200 million as a payout. So as you can see, Kim Kardashian has built up a very diversified business empire. The reality TV was just the beginning. What about Kanye West? How did he build up his wealth? So Kanye West built up his wealth basically through fashion and through music. And both of these are really remarkable at their peak. So if we talk about his music side, he's one of the best-selling artists ever known with multiple Grammy-winning albums. And his catalog alone, it's estimated to be worth hundreds of millions of dollars, which is a huge success by any standards. But his real jump to wealth came from fashion. So with his Yeezy sneaker contract with Adidas, it was generally one of the most successful brand deals for any celebrity. So supposedly at its peak, that brand deal was worth about $1.5 billion. And with every sale, Kanye West would receive a royalty, and that was supposed to be worth somewhere around $150 million every single year. However, in October 2022, Adidas decided to end that contract. So that large revenue stream disappeared basically. So of these two people, Kim Kardashian and Kanye West, who's made bigger financial mistakes throughout their career? So this one is well documented with Kanye West in 2022 off of his comments in the public. Many of his brands and sponsors decided to go ahead and terminate their contracts with him. Most famously Adidas, which wiped out $1.5 billion of net worth basically overnight. In addition, the company Gap decided to go ahead and end their collaboration with Kanye West during that same time. So with that much of your net worth disappearing overnight, that's one of the fastest wealth destruction moments in celebrity history. So when we're talking about Kim Kardashian, a lot of her financial mistakes are not really as large and dramatic as Kanye West. Probably the largest mistake would be her KKW brand. It was required to go ahead and rebrand completely and relaunch as SKKN. Also, some of her earlier business decisions like a cell phone app, various endorsement deals, just didn't build the lasting equity like her SKIMS brand did. So it's clear that Kanye West suffered the most financial damage when he damaged his reputation and lost out on some of his largest business contracts that he had going at the time. So which one of these two are building a more sustainable business? This one I'm going to say it's going to be Kim Kardashian. With her brand SKIMS, that was built aside from her. So even if she were to step back away from the company, it's likely that SKIMS brand is going to continue and generate lots of revenue with or without Kim Kardashian. And that doesn't matter if she's in the public spotlight like she she is generally, or even if she stepped back and took a private life. Now, when you compare that with Kanye West, his Yeezy brand was basically built around his persona and who he is. So when his reputation was damaged, a lot of that revenue just disappeared overnight. Unfortunately, there was no business infrastructure that was set up to survive with or without Kanye West. So that's a really important lesson. You can see that Kim Kardashian built a business with or without her being the face of the company, and Kanye West built something that was completely dependent on him being in the picture. So as you know, these two folks were married for a time and they finally went through a divorce. And if you know anything about business or relationships in general, divorce has a lasting financial impact on both parties involved. So supposedly it was finalized in 2022. And during the time, it was one of the more significant financial divorces financially, just because of the sheer amount of wealth that these two people have. So while this divorce settlement is not public, there has been data or rumors that Kanye West had to settle, giving Kim Kardashian various properties in the settlement, in addition to ongoing financial support, especially since they have 4 children together. But even with that much money and that many attorneys involved, surprisingly, it didn't really have that much of a financial impact on either one of these people. In fact, Kim Kardashian was still able to continue on and build the SKIMS brand into a multi-billion-dollar company, and Kanye West's financial challenges didn't really come from the divorce. They came more from the Adidas contract being canceled. So what's really remarkable about the divorce between Kanye West and Kim Kardashian is both of these really wealthy individuals continue to be extremely wealthy even after such a large divorce. So which one of these two iconic people, Kim Kardashian and Kanye West, are better brand builder? And this is an interesting question because actually both of them are exceptional at building brands. However, their brands fork off into 2 different categories. So if we look at Kanye West, he built one of the most culturally significant personal music brands in history. The Yeezy aesthetic changed sneaker culture permanently. He's had a lot of influence over music, pop culture, and urban culture, and it's well documented through his career. And at the peak, Yeezy brand, I mean, there were people fighting over just getting into the store to buy these sneakers. Now, when we look at Kim Kardashian, she's definitely built up something much more impressive on a different level. She took the Kardashians television brand, which a lot of people actually dismissed and consider it shallow or short lasting, and she turned it into a lasting and very successful consumer brands company, SKIMS, and that generated real revenue and real change in the fashion industry. So for me personally, I probably wins with sustainability and financial performance. However, Kanye West wins on cultural impact and creative influence. Series, you see that some of these folks actually start with hundreds of millions of dollars right out the gate when they're born. So between Kim Kardashian and Kanye West, who started with more advantages? So this is interesting to look at because actually both of these two people started relatively comfortable lives, but not really super wealthy background. So if we look at Kim Kardashian, she was born into the Kardashian family. Her father was Robert Kardashian, which was a famous attorney that represented O.J. Simpson. So this family was upper middle class in Los Angeles. So it's well documented that Kim Kardashian did have various social advantages and a well-connected family, but she wasn't handed a business empire right out the gate. And we can look at Kanye West, which was a product of Chicago. His mother was an English teacher. So they had a comfortable middle class upbringing, but no particular industry advantages or personal connect. And he built up his music career with hard work and genuine talent. So that's impressive for Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. Both of them basically built their fortunes from their hard work and from themselves. They weren't handed anything on a silver platter. So I'm not ragging on Kanye West, but you might be asking, is there anything financially that Kanye West beats Kim Kardashian at? And the answer is yes. Even at his reduced net worth because of the Adidas dispute, Kanye West still has his music catalog, and that back music catalog is genuinely valuable. That's going to include records like The College Dropout, Late Registration, Graduation. All of those records are continuing to generate streaming revenue, licensing fees, royalties. In fact, a lot of investment funds actively seek out music catalogs to purchase. You've seen those transactions happen with artists like Bruce Springsteen and Bob Dylan. So if Kanye West ever wanted to sell his music catalog, it's very likely it's going to sell for hundreds of millions of dollars. In addition, even with all the problems, Kanye West has shown that he can easily rebuild businesses with the name brand that he's built up over the decades. So of these two people, Kim Kardashian and Kanye West, who built up a better financial empire? Based off of everything that I've been able to find, Kim Kardashian wins this by a long shot. She's built a more stable business, a more diversified business, and she's been able to avoid any kind of financial collapse like what Kanye West went through in 2022. And one of the most remarkable parts is that Kim Kardashian has been able to build up a billion-dollar organization after many people laughed at her for trying to be a business person when a lot of people just assumed she was only a reality TV star. But that's not to say Kanye West didn't build up something remarkably. In fact, before that large controversy in 2022, they were basically neck and neck as far as financial assets. But when you step back and you look at 2022, that's a huge lesson in financial responsibility and shows the difference between building wealth and protecting wealth. So there you have it. If you're wondering who built a bigger financial empire, Kanye West or Kim Kardashian, that's what I was able to find. So it looks like Kim Kardashian wins on a lot of different levels. But what about you? Are you team Kanye West? If so, leave a comment below. Let the rest of us know, and I'll see you on the next video.